Welcome to this special report from Tokyo, where Japan is on the verge of a historic political moment. The ruling Liberal Democratic Party, the LDP, has chosen its new leader, Sanae Takaichi, a figure long known as a conservative hardliner and a determined voice on issues of defense and national identity. Her election puts her on course to become Japan's first female prime minister, a milestone that is drawing global attention, but also raising pointed questions about the policies she will pursue. Takaichi's victory came after a tense two-round leadership contest. None of the five contenders managed to secure an outright majority in the first round, forcing a runoff. In the decisive second round, she emerged as the winner, defeating her closest rival and signalling a new chapter for the LDP. The parliament is expected to convene later this month to formally elect the next prime minister, a vote that Takaichi is now widely expected to win. Sanae Takaichi is no newcomer to Japan's political scene. She has been an active politician since 1993, serving in a series of cabinet roles under different administrations. Over the decades, she has built a reputation as a no-nonsense operator, a politician who favours decisive action over consensus-driven compromise. That image has been strengthened by her association with Nippon Kaigi, a nationalist lobby group known for promoting conservative values, traditional family structures, and a revisionist interpretation of Japan's wartime history. Yet for all the attention surrounding the possibility of Japan's first woman leading the government, her political vision stands in sharp contrast to the progressive ideals often associated with women breaking the glass ceiling. Takaichi has been a vocal opponent of certain reforms that many in Japan and abroad view as essential to gender equality. For example, she opposes allowing married couples to retain separate surnames, a practice that advocates for women's rights have long championed. She has also consistently opposed the idea of permitting female succession to the imperial throne, a position that reflects the conservative priorities she has endorsed throughout her career. This paradox, a female leader advancing a traditionalist, even restrictive agenda on gender-related issues, has become one of the defining narratives in the early days of her leadership campaign. Political analysts note that this duality illustrates a core tension in contemporary Japanese politics: the desire to project progress and inclusivity while preserving long-standing conservative social norms. At home, Takaichi faces an uphill battle in reviving the fortunes of the Liberal Democratic Party. Once the near unassailable pillar of Japanese politics, the LDP has in recent years seen its dominance eroded by growing public disillusionment. Voter frustration has been fueled by persistent economic stagnation, rising prices that squeeze household budgets, and a series of damaging scandals involving political slush funds and kickbacks. These controversies have left many ordinary Japanese citizens feeling disconnected from the political elite, convinced that lawmakers are more concerned with their own interests than with the struggles of everyday families. Political journalist Sonia Blaschka, reporting from Tokyo, observes that this deepening gap between government policies and the daily experiences of ordinary people is at the heart of the LDP's current troubles. As she notes, shoppers are seeing tangible price increases at the supermarket, while wages have largely stagnated. For many, these bread and butter concerns far outweigh the ideological debates in Parliament. Takaichi's challenge will be to rebuild trust and show that her administration can deliver tangible improvements in people's lives. Beyond Japan's borders, Takaichi's rise to power is being closely watched by regional powers and global partners alike. Her long-standing reputation as a hawk on defense and security issues has made her a controversial figure in East Asia. Among the most symbolic aspects of her political record are her visits to the Yasukuni Shrine in central Tokyo, a site that honors Japan's war dead, including several individuals convicted as Class A war criminals after World War II. Those visits have repeatedly sparked outrage in neighboring China and South Korea, where memories of Japan's wartime aggression remain vivid. Only once in modern history has a sitting Japanese prime minister visited the shrine, Shinzo Abe, in 2013, and that visit provoked a major diplomatic backlash. Observers are now asking whether Takaichi, as prime minister, will continue this practice and risk further inflaming regional tensions. Her position on historical accountability adds another layer of complexity to Japan's diplomacy. Takaichi has opposed the issuance of new formal government apologies for Japan's wartime actions, arguing that previous statements of remorse have been sufficient. This stance has raised concerns in Seoul and Beijing, where many believe that a continued acknowledgement of past atrocities is essential for reconciliation. Whether she maintains this firm line once she assumes office or adjusts her tone in pursuit of smoother relations remains an open question. Relations with the United States are another area where her leadership will draw scrutiny. Washington has long counted on Japan as a key strategic partner in the Asia-Pacific region, particularly in countering China's expanding influence. A more hawkish and nationalist leader in Tokyo could either strengthen this alliance by taking a tougher stance on defense and regional security, or create new frictions if her policies complicate the delicate balance of diplomacy in the region. Immigration is also emerging as a flashpoint in Takaichi's agenda. Though Japan's foreign-born population remains relatively small by global standards, growing from about 1.2% of the population in the year 2000 to roughly 3% today, the increase has stirred unease among some segments of the public. Populist politicians have often linked this trend to exaggerated fears of rising crime or cultural erosion, despite the lack of supporting data. The rapid surge in international tourism in recent years, which has brought both economic benefits and challenges, such as overcrowding in popular destinations, has also fed a broader sense among some voters that Japan is changing in ways they cannot control. Takaichi's campaign has tapped into these sentiments, promising stricter immigration controls and a renewed emphasis on traditional Japanese values. Critics argue that such rhetoric risks alienating the foreign workers that Japan increasingly relies on, especially in sectors like elder care, construction and agriculture, which face chronic labour shortages due to the country's ageing population and low birth rate. Economists warn that an overly restrictive approach to immigration could further strain Japan's already struggling labour market and slow economic growth. Supporters, on the other hand, see Takaichi as a decisive leader who can push through reforms that previous leaders avoided for fear of backlash. They argue that her focus on national identity and security will resonate with voters who feel that Japan's traditional character and sovereignty have been diluted by decades of compromise and globalization. As Japan stands at this political crossroads, the symbolic significance of a female leader cannot be overlooked. Yet the story of Sanae Takaichi's rise is not simply about gender. It is about the direction of Japan's democracy and society in an era of shifting global power dynamics. Her leadership promises to redefine not only domestic priorities, but also Japan's role on the international stage. In the weeks ahead, as the parliamentary vote approaches, the world will watch to see how Takaichi frames her vision for the country. Will she soften some of her more controversial positions in the interest of building broader consensus at home and fostering stability abroad? Or will she double down on the nationalist security-first platform that propelled her to the leadership of the LDP? The answers to these questions will shape Japan's future for years to come. For now, the story remains one of contrasts: a groundbreaking female leader with deeply traditionalist policies, a nation eager for renewal yet wary of change, and a party seeking to rebuild trust while grappling with internal divisions and external challenges. Sanae Takaichi's path to power reflects these tensions, and how she navigates them will determine whether her historic rise marks a turning point for Japan or a continuation of old debates in new hands. As the debate unfolds in Tokyo, and as ordinary Japanese citizens weigh their hopes against their doubts, one thing is clear: this leadership transition is not just a domestic political event, but a moment with far-reaching implications. From the future of gender roles in Japanese society to the balance of power in East Asia, the decisions made in the coming months will resonate well beyond Japan's shores. That is the story tonight: Japan at a political crossroads, and the world watching to see where its first potential female prime minister will lead it next.
小泉進次郎君、11票。ました。
本当に多くの皆様と共に、自民党の新しい時代を刻みました。誠にありがとうございます。